Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another lesson with us here at English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going back to school.
That's right. We're talking about my least favorite subject.
That would be math.
That's right.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about math. Now, I know that many of you, of course, know math.
Right.
But do you know the operations in English?
Many people find it hard to find the right words to talk about math in English.
Right. So that's what we're going to be looking at today.
And we'll also look at some names that you can call people who are really, really, really smart.
So let's listen to our dialogue for the first time, and then we'll come back and look at those math words.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadlick.
Okay, Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11?
15.
Miss Cadlick always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60?
-4.
Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144.
0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Okay, smarty pants. The square root of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
1.4142135.
All right, so that's one smart little girl, huh?
Yeah, pretty smart. Actually, smarter than me in math.
All right, so let's take a look at some of those words that the teacher used to ask her about certain operations in language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, so like we said, you guys know how to do math and you know the words in your language, but maybe in English it's a little bit harder to find the right words. So let's look at those now.
Okay, so let's look at the first question that she asked. What's 4 plus 11?
4 plus 11.
Okay, plus.
Plus.
All right. So 4 plus 11, Erica, is?
Let me take a look at here. 15.
15. Okay, so we are adding, right?
Yes.
So that's how you would say. Let's go with an easy one. 2 plus 2.
4.
4, right?
Yep.
Or 5 plus 5.
10.
10, okay.
You're really testing my skills.
So that's how you would add numbers.
Now, what about taking away numbers?
Okay, so taking away or subtracting. All right, let's test you again. In the dialogue, she said 56 minus 60.
56 minus 60 equals -4.
Okay, minus, so that's negative, right?
Minus.
So, and of course, if you have 56 apples and you take away 60, you are left with
-4.
-4.
Well, actually, you're left with 0 apples.
Yeah, exactly. Now, that answer is also interesting. -4.
-4.
That means -4, right?
4 less than 0.
4 less than 0. Very good. -4. Okay, so now for our next operation. 12 times 12.
12 times 12.
12 times 12.
No, Marco, don't ask me the answer.
All right, 12 times 12 equals 144. Now, that's multiplying.
Right, or multiplication.
Multiplication. Okay, so this times part, it's very easy to remember because, for example, 4 times 4. You can just say 4, the number 4, and you add it, right?
4 times.
4 times. 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4.
Right, so times.
Times. Uh-huh.
Now the opposite of times.
All right, the opposite of multiplication is division.
Division.
Okay, so in our dialogue, the teacher said 0 divided by 1.
0 divided by 1.
0 divided by 1. Any number divided by 0 is 0.
All right, so let's give another example. 15 divided by 3.
All right, so 15 divided by 3 equals
5.
5. Exactly.
So divided by.
Divided by. Very good. So after division, the teacher was very impressed, and now she asked a very hard mathematical operation, especially for a girl this age. The square root of 2.
The square root of.
Square root.
So let's give some examples to show what is the square root.
Okay. So if I ask you the square root of 9.
3.
3, right?
Yes.
What about the square root of 4?
2.
2. Okay. So now one more. The square root of 16.
4.
4. Okay, so you notice the pattern, right? And I'm sure everyone knows this in their own language, how you would get a square root.
Exactly. So this language is pretty simple. You all know it in your own language, but let's hear it again in English one more time with the dialogue.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadlick.
Okay, Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11? 15.
Miss Cadlick always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60? Negative 4. Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144. 0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Okay, smarty pants. The square root of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
1.4142135.
Okay, so we understand the mathematical operations that we saw here. Very easy. But now there was another little kid in there who was very, I think, envious or jealous.
Yeah, Tommy.
Tommy, right? So he called her a couple of different names.
Well, let's look at those now in Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, so the first one that he called Crystal, the little girl, he called her a teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet.
Teacher's pet.
A teacher's pet.
So, Erica, what exactly is a teacher's pet?
It is the favorite student the teacher has in that class.
All right, so it's always the student that's helping the teacher.
Yeah, the smartest student.
Yeah. The teacher's pet.
Yeah, and it has a negative meaning in English.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a good thing to be the teacher's pet.
Like the teacher thinks it's good.
Yeah.
But all of the friends and the classmates, they think it's bad.
Yeah, exactly. Teacher's pet.
And similar to teacher's pet is a suck up.
Suck up.
Suck up.
Again, suck up. What is this? What is a suck up?
A suck up is a person who tries really, really hard to make the teacher like him.
Okay, now we can also use it outside of the classroom, right?
Yeah, at work, maybe.
Okay, there is always at work, there is always one person who's the suck up, right?
Yes. Now, again, this has a negative meaning in English.
Yeah, I guess in the workplace, the rest of your colleagues don't really like that person who's considered to be the suck up, who's always trying to please the boss.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, so the teacher calls Crystal a smarty pants.
Smarty pants.
Smarty pants.
Okay, so this is also a little name calling, right? So what is a smarty pants?
Somebody who is too smart.
Too smart.
Who tries too hard to be smart.
Now, this is only for little kids, right? I wouldn't call you a smarty pants. Right?
No, it's definitely for children. Adults don't say this.
Unless maybe you are joking or having fun with someone.
Yeah, but if you say it, you are suggesting that you're being like a child.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, smarty pants. And our last one, and this is also a very good phrase and a way to describe someone, know-it-all.
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 A know-it-all.
Sometimes you say Mr. Know-it-all, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so what is a know-it-all?
Somebody who tries to show everyone that they know it all.
They know everything.
Yeah, they're so smart.
They have the answers to everything.
But they really, really try and show everyone that they know everything.
These people can be sometimes a little bit irritating, right?
Yeah, very, very annoying.
Annoying.
Yeah.
All right, so it's not a good thing to be a know-it-all all the time.
Yeah, actually, all of these phrases are not good things to be.
Okay, so let's listen to our dialogue one more time, and then we're going to come back, and Eric is going to tell us how much she hates math.
All right, children, let's review. Tommy, pay attention.
Sorry, Miss Cadlick.
Okay, Crystal, now tell me. What's 4 plus 11?
15.
Miss Cadlick always asks Crystal. She's such a teacher's pet.
Okay, and what about 56 minus 60?
-4.
Very good. 12 times 12?
Very good. Suck up.
144.
0 divided by 1?
0.
How did you know that? Okay, smarty pants, the square root of 2.
Bet you're not going to get that one, know-it-all.
1.4, 1.4, 2, 135.
All right, so Erica, you were telling me that you hated math, or you still do.
Well, yes, that's true. I really do hate math, and even doing a simple, like 16 plus 32 is too hard for me.
So you were never really that type of person that's good with numbers.
No, I'm terrible with numbers. I can't even remember my own phone number.
Really?
That's true. Like, I really, if someone asks me for my phone number, I have to look on my phone in the address book to find it.
Well, yeah, sometimes numbers can be difficult. I kind of liked math when I was younger. It just made sense. So.
Well, I guess there's a reason why I'm an English teacher and not a math teacher.
And I was actually not very good at language.
But here you are.
Exactly. Well, I mean, in Spanish, I like grammar. I'm not very good at that, all those rules.
Yeah, but you're pretty good at English, so that's all right with me.
That's all right.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Tell us what your favorite subject or your least favorite subject in school was. What about you? Do you have any favorite subject? Or did you have a favorite subject?
History.
History.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I liked chemistry for a while.
Oh, God. Chemistry involves numbers.
Well, a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was interesting as well.
School is a big part of life for many people. And no matter where you're from, you probably have memories of sitting in a classroom, holding a pencil, and trying to solve a math problem. That's why today's topic is about something very familiar: school and math vocabulary in English. We'll explore how to talk about numbers, math operations, and common classroom expressions. These words and phrases are useful not just in school, but also in everyday conversation. By learning them, you'll sound more natural and confident when speaking English. Let's begin with basic math expressions. Imagine you're solving a simple problem. 2 plus 2 equals 4. In English, the word plus means addition. You can say 2 plus 2 is 4. You can also use add as a verb. For example, add 2 and 2. Both mean the same thing. Plus is more common in speaking, and add is often used in instructions or more formal settings. Now, think about subtraction. The word we use is minus. So, 5 minus 3 is 2. You might also hear the word subtract, especially in school instructions. Subtract 3 from 5. Again, minus is more common in everyday talk, while subtract is used more formally. Next is multiplication. We say times. For example, 3 times 4 is 12. It's a very common way to talk about multiplication in conversation. The formal word is multiply, as in multiply 3 by 4. But in most daily English, people simply say times. It's faster and more natural. When it comes to division, we use divided by. You can say 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's the clearest way to express division when speaking. In more formal situations, you might hear divide 10 by 2, which means the same thing. It's important to know both ways. There's also a useful symbol called the equals sign, which we say is equals. So, 2 plus 2 equals 4. It connects the parts of the problem. It's like saying, this is the answer. The word equals is simple, and it's used all the time when we talk about numbers. Now let's look at a more advanced term, square root. You may remember this from school. The square root of a number is what you multiply by itself to get that number. For example, the square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. In English, you say the square root of 9 is 3. This is useful not only in math class, but also in technical discussions. All these words, plus, minus, times, divided by, equals, and square root, are not only part of math, but they're also part of daily conversation. People use them when talking about money, cooking, working, or just solving everyday problems. Learning these terms helps you understand instructions better and explain things more clearly. And if you want to be fluent, you don't just need to know the words. You need to know how to use them naturally. That's why listening to examples and practicing them in real-life situations is so helpful. These words are tools, and the more you use them, the more confident and quick you'll become in English. Math words are everywhere, not just in school, but in everyday life. Think about when you go shopping and see a discount. You might want to calculate how much money you'll save. That's where math expressions like percent come in. The word percent means out of 100. So, when something is 50% off, it means you only pay half the price. You might say, this shirt is 20% off, or I got a 10% discount. These phrases are helpful when you talk about prices, sales, and money. Now let's talk about fractions. A fraction is a number that shows part of whole. In English, we say 1/2, 1/3, 3/4, and so on. For example, I drank half of the juice, or she ate 3/4 of the cake. These kinds of expressions are common in cooking, eating, and even talking about time. Imagine someone says, I'll be there in half an hour. That's a very normal, everyday way of using a math word. Another useful term is average. This means the usual or typical number in a group. For example, the average temperature in July is 30 degrees, or the average score on the test was 85. You'll often hear people talk about averages when they describe statistics or compare things. Knowing how to use this word makes you sound more thoughtful and clear. Let's now look at the word total. This means the full amount after adding everything together. For example, the total cost is $20, or the total number of students is 35. This is a simple but powerful word. You can use it when talking about money, people, time, and many other things. Next is the word difference. Not in the usual meaning, but in the math sense. In math, the difference between two numbers means the result of subtracting one from the other. So, the difference between 10 and 6 is 4. But people also use this idea in everyday life. For example, what's the difference between these two phones? This means you're asking how they're not the same. Let's also talk about the word estimate. When you don't know the exact number, but you make a smart guess, that's an estimate. You might say, I estimate the cost will be about $50, or can you give me an estimate of how long it will take? This is a very useful word when you're not sure, but you want to give an idea. Another important word is figure. In math, a figure means a number like a 5-figure salary, which means someone earns between $10,000 and $99,999. But people also say figure out, which means to solve or understand something. For example, I need to figure out how to fix my phone, or can you figure out this math problem? It's an everyday phrase that shows thinking and problem solving. All of these math words and expressions are useful in so many real-life situations. Whether you're cooking, shopping, working, or traveling, you'll hear these terms. And the better you understand them, the easier it will be to speak, listen, and think clearly in English. That's why building your math vocabulary helps your general English skills grow stronger too. In every classroom, there are certain words and phrases that students hear again and again. These are not only used in school. They also appear in meetings, trainings, and many other parts of life. Let's start with one of the most common classroom phrases, pay attention. Teachers often say this to students. It means to focus and listen carefully. In daily life, someone might say, pay attention to the instructions, or you need to pay attention when you drive. It's a simple phrase, but very useful in many situations. Another helpful classroom phrase is take notes. This means to write down important points while listening. It's something students do during lessons, but it's also something adults do during meetings or while learning something new. You might hear, don't forget to take notes during the training, or I took notes so I can remember what the doctor said. Then there's the phrase, raise your hand. In class, this is how students ask to speak. But in life, It also means to show that you want to join or help. For example, if anyone wants to volunteer, please raise your hand. Even if you don't physically raise your hand, the phrase means you want to take part. Let's move to turn in your homework. This means to give your work to the teacher. In life, we often say turn in when we give something back or submit it. For example, I have to turn in my application by Friday. Or, did you turn in your report to your boss? It's a very useful phrase for work and school. There's also working groups. This is when students are asked to complete a task together. Group work helps with teamwork and communication. In life, people often work in groups at the office or on a project. You might say, we're working in a group to finish the presentation. Now, think about the phrase follow directions. This means to do what the teacher or instruction says. You can also use this phrase in cooking, driving, or even at work. For example, make sure to follow the directions on the medicine, or he didn't follow directions, so the project was late. Another common one is line up. In school, teachers ask students to line up before going somewhere. But you'll hear this phrase anywhere people need to wait their turn. For example, people are lining up to buy tickets, or let's line up and wait for the bus. Don't forget the expression stay on task. This means to keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's useful at school, work, or home. You might hear, we need to stay on task if we want to finish on time, or he got distracted and didn't stay on task. There's also ask for help. Students hear this a lot when they struggle. But this is an important phrase in life too. You might say, if you don't understand, ask for help, or she's not afraid to ask for help when she needs it. These classroom expressions are more than just words for school. They are real, everyday phrases that help you communicate better in English. If you learn them well, you'll feel more comfortable and confident not just in class, but in many parts of your life. Every school has students with different personalities. Some love to answer questions, some like to stay quiet, and some try to impress the teacher. In English, we have special slang words to talk about these kinds of students. These slang expressions are often playful, sometimes a little teasing, but very common in school and even in adult life. Let's look at a few and see how they're used. One of the most famous expressions is teacher's pet. This is a student who always tries to make the teacher happy. Maybe by always doing homework early, sitting in the front, or always saying yes to everything the teacher says. Other students may think this person is trying too hard to be liked. For example, she's the teacher's pet. She even brings the teacher coffee. In adult life, this can also describe someone who tries to please their boss too much. Another similar word is suck up. This is someone who compliments the teacher or boss too much, hoping to get special treatment. It's not a nice word, and it's usually said in a negative way. For example, don't be such a suck-up. Just do your job. It's important to know this word so you can understand how it's used in conversations, but you should be careful when using it because it can sound rude. Then there's the term smarty pants. This is someone who always knows the answer and is proud of it. It can be friendly or slightly teasing. For example, okay, smarty pants, let someone else answer for once. People might say this if someone shows off their knowledge too often, but sometimes it's said as a joke between friends. Another common one is know-it-all. This person thinks they know everything and loves to talk like an expert. This word is often used when someone gives too much information or doesn't let others speak. For example, he's such a know-it-all, always correcting people. It's not a compliment, and it can make others feel annoyed. Then we have class clown. This is the student who always makes jokes, acts silly, and tries to make everyone laugh. Some class clowns are funny in a good way, but others can distract the class. You might say, he's the class clown. He always tells jokes during the lesson. Even in the workplace, you might hear, he's the office clown, meaning someone who always brings humor to the group. Another fun word is brainiac. This means someone who is very smart, especially in subjects like math or science. You might hear, she's a real brainiac. She always gets perfect scores. It's usually a compliment, though sometimes it can sound a little sarcastic, depending on how it's said. Let's not forget slacker. This word describes someone who doesn't work hard or tries to avoid doing their tasks. For example, he's such a slacker. He never finishes his homework. This word is also used for people at work who don't do their part of the job. These school slang words help us describe different types of people, not just in school, but also in daily life. They make your English sound more natural and give your speech more color and personality. When you learn how to use these expressions correctly, you can connect better with others and enjoy conversations even more. Let's talk about one more fun and practical way to learn English. Through math games and classroom activities that include speaking, thinking, and teamwork. These games not only teach numbers and vocabulary, but also help learners use full sentences, ask questions, and practice listening in real-life situations. You don't need to be good at math to enjoy them. These activities are about communication and learning together. A simple and popular game is Number Bingo. In this game, each person has a card with numbers on it. One person calls out numbers, and the others listen carefully and mark the numbers they hear. The first person to mark all their numbers shouts bingo. This game is great for listening skills and number recognition. Teachers often say things like, find number 24, or do you have number 15? It's also a chance to practice saying numbers clearly. Another great activity is called Math Jeopardy! This is a game where players choose categories like addition, subtraction, or word problems and answer questions to get points. What makes this game special is that it uses full questions and answers. For example, the host might say, what is 5 times 6? And the player answers, the answer is 30. This gives learners a chance to hear and say math sentences in English, which helps them remember the structure. Then there's shopping role play. This is a classroom activity where students act like they are in a store. One person is the cashier and others are customers. They use fake money and ask about prices. You might hear phrases like, how much is this? Or that will be $10, please. This game uses math and conversation at the same time and prepares learners for real-life situations like buying something at a shop or market. Another fun one is Guess My Number. In this game, one student picks a number and others try to guess it by asking questions like, is it bigger than 10 or is it an even number? This activity teaches comparison words, question forms, and logical thinking. It also helps students practice listening and speaking in a relaxed and fun way. There's also a game called Problem Solver. In this game, students work in pairs or groups to solve word problems. For example, Tom has 3 apples. He buys 2 more. How many apples does he have now? The students must read, understand, and then say the answer in a full sentence. Tom has 5 apples. This teaches reading comprehension, basic math, and speaking, all in one. These activities are more than just fun. They help learners become more confident with numbers, understand classroom instructions better, and feel more comfortable speaking English. They also build teamwork and give everyone a chance to speak, listen, and respond naturally. Using games like these in the classroom brings energy and excitement. Students often forget they're studying because they're so focused on winning, helping their team, or solving a challenge. And the more you use English in these situations, the more natural it starts to feel. That's the real power of mixing learning with fun. You remember more and enjoy the process at the same time. Outside of games and classroom slang, one of the best ways to grow your English skills is by connecting what you learn in school to real life. Math might seem like a subject full of numbers and formulas, but in truth, we use it every single day. When we understand how to talk about math in English, we also learn how to talk about shopping, cooking, working, and even time. Let's explore how to turn school vocabulary into useful tools for daily conversations. Think about this simple sentence. This shirt is 50% off. That's math in action. Knowing how to understand percentages helps you shop. Phrases like half price, 20% discount, or buy one, get one free are common in English-speaking stores. You can say, I saved $10 because it was on sale, or this was a great deal, half off. Understanding these expressions helps you make smarter choices when spending money. Now, think about cooking. A recipe might say, use 1.5 cups of water or bake for 3/4 of an hour. These are fractions. If you don't know what a half or 3/4 means, it's hard to follow instructions. Also, in conversations, someone might say, I'm only halfway finished, or I'll be there in 1/4 of an hour. These are math terms being used naturally in everyday speech. Then there's time management. People often say, let's meet in 10 minutes, or this will take about half an hour. You might hear, can you give me 5 more minutes, or I'll call you back in 20. Learning to understand and use time phrases in English is not only helpful, it's essential for being on time and staying organized. We also use math language at work. Think about phrases like increase, decrease, double, cut in half, or total cost. In a meeting, someone might say, sales went up by 20%, or we need to reduce spending by half. These phrases help you explain data, understand business decisions, or even ask for a raise. For example, can we double our budget for next month? Or, I finished in half the time. Even in social conversations, numbers and math language appear. People talk about their age, their salary, how far they've traveled, or how many people are coming to dinner. They say things like, there were dozens of people at the party, or I've told you 100 times. That last one is an exaggeration, but it shows how numbers add drama and humor to our stories. And don't forget that comparisons often use math terms. You'll hear things like, he's twice as fast, or that movie was 3 times better than the last one. Even feelings can be expressed this way. I feel 10 times more confident now, or that made everything 100 times worse. The key is to recognize that what we learn in school is not just for tests or classrooms. It's language that helps us describe the world. The more you practice using these words in real situations, the more confident you'll feel. Try describing your shopping trip, your cooking, your travel plans, or your work using English math terms. Little by little, you'll build not just your vocabulary, but your ability to express yourself clearly and naturally in English. To finish this journey through school math and classroom English, let's look at how these lessons help you grow not just as a language learner, but as a communicator in the real world. Learning math words and classroom expressions in English may seem simple at first, but they are actually full of life, meaning, and connection. Think about the words you've practiced: plus, minus, times, divided by, equals, square root. These aren't just school terms. They help you describe problems, explain ideas, and share information with others. For example, if you're helping a friend with their homework or showing someone how to solve something at work, you can now use clear, simple language. You could say 2 plus 2 is 4, but also if we divide this task, it'll be easier. That's how you move from the classroom to real conversation. And don't forget the playful words: teacher's pet, class clown, know-it-all, brainiac, suck up. These expressions teach you more than just vocabulary. They show you how people relate to each other, how they joke, tease, or compliment. Using these words the right way helps you sound more natural and confident. When you can say, he's such a smarty pants, with a smile, you're not just speaking English, you're feeling the rhythm of how English is really used. You've also seen how math shows up in shopping, cooking, planning, traveling, and telling stories. These are the building blocks of everyday life. Whether you're talking about prices, measuring ingredients, catching a train, or planning your weekend, you're using math language in action. You say things like half an hour, double the size, 50% off, or 1/4 of a mile. These little phrases make your English sound real and useful. And finally, by practicing classroom activities, games, and teamwork vocabulary, you learn how to talk with others, give instructions, and join group discussions. You ask questions like, what's the answer? Or how do we solve this? You use phrases like, let's work together, or you go first. These are skills that help in every part of life, from school and work to friends and family. So now, every time you hear a math word or a school expression, you'll know it's more than just a term. It's a tool for living, for speaking, and for connecting. You've learned how to take simple classroom words and turn them into real, meaningful English. And that's what learning is really about, turning small steps into big progress.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Go over what has been learned.
Review.
Add.
Plus.
The student a teacher likes best.
Teacher's pet.
Take away. Subtract.
Minus.
To multiply.
Times.
A person who always tries to make the teacher or boss like him or her.
Suck up.
Separate to some parts.
Divided by.
A person who tries to show he is so smart.
Smarty pants.
The number obtained when a number is multiplied by itself.
Square root.
I think something is likely to happen.
I'll bet.
The person claims or pretends to know everything.
Know it all.
A math problem where each side is equal.
Equation.
A mathematical process such as adding, multiplying, subtracting, etc.
Operation.
The process of adding a number to itself a certain number of times.
Multiplication.
The process of adding two numbers together.
Addition.
The process of taking one number away from another.
Subtraction.
The process of dividing something into parts.
Division.
Let's try that faster. The number obtained when a number is multiplied by itself.
Square root.
The process of dividing something into parts.
Division.
A person who tries to show he is so smart.
Smarty pants.
A math problem where each side is equal.
Equation.
To multiply.
Times.
Take away. Subtract.
Minus.
The student a teacher likes best.
Teacher's pet.
Go over what has been learned.
Review.
Add.
Plus.
I think something is likely to happen.
I'll bet.
The process of adding a number to itself a certain number of times.
Multiplication.
The person claims or pretends to know everything.
Know it all.
A person who always tries to make the teacher or boss like him or her.
Suck up.
Separate to some parts.
Divided by.
The process of taking one number away from another.
Subtraction.
A mathematical process such as adding, multiplying, subtracting, etc.
Operation.
The process of adding two numbers together.
Addition.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Plus. Everyone knows that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Plus. We need 5 tickets plus an extra one for John. Plus. I have $2,000 in my bank account plus an extra $500 under my bed. Minus. The ticket costs $100 minus a 10% discount. Minus. I don't understand this. Do you know what 1 minus 1 equals? Minus. There were 5 cans of tuna here minus 2 that I ate this morning. Where are the rest? Divided by. To solve this problem, you'll need to divide the number of days in a year by the number of days worked. Divided by. I weigh 140 pounds, so if I divide that by 2.2, I will know my weight in kilograms. Divided by. I don't think we have enough food. We only have 2 pizzas and we need to divide them by 20 people. Mommy, everyone at school says I'm a teacher's pet. There was a kid that used to bring my teacher an apple every day. He was such a teacher's pet. I always hated the kid that was the teacher's pet. He would always get more attention. Suck up. We have a colleague at work who's the biggest suck up. He's always being nice to our boss. Suck up. I hate it when someone tries to suck up to you just because you work with Britney Spears. Suck up. There is a job opening next month for a managerial position. I think I'm going to have to act like a suck up to get that job.
I still remember one morning in school when our teacher walked in with a big smile and wrote a huge number on the board. She didn't say a word at first, just picked up the chalk and wrote 256. Then she turned around and said, "Today we're going to make numbers talk." Right away, I knew it was going to be a math lesson and the energy in the room changed. Some students sat up straighter, ready to show off what they knew, while others sank into their seats, hoping she wouldn't call on them. Math was one of those subjects that could divide the class in seconds, not just the numbers, but the people. There were the quick thinkers who seemed to get every answer right without trying, and there were the rest of us, trying to keep up. I was somewhere in the middle, good enough to understand most of it, but not so good that I could relax. The teacher began with simple operations. She pointed at the number and said, 2 plus 2 equals 4. She underlined the word plus and reminded us that it's used for addition. Then she gave us a harder example. 10 minus 3 equals 7. She explained minus as subtraction, taking away. She made it sound so clear, but the way she said it, you could tell she expected us to really use these words out loud, not just in our heads. Next, she wrote for by 5 on the board and asked, "What's this called?" Someone quickly shouted, "Times." She nodded and said, "Yes, times is multiplication. For times 5 equals 20. Then she wrote 20 divided by 4 and told us that the symbol means divided by or division. It was like she was giving us the keys to a secret code, a way to talk about numbers in English that could work anywhere in the world. Even though I'd seen these operations before, hearing them explained so clearly made me realize how important it is to use the right words. In everyday life, whether you're talking about money, time, or measurements, knowing how to say plus, minus, times, and divided by can make all the difference. And that morning, I had no idea that this simple math lesson would turn into one of the most memorable classes of the year. The lesson moved on quickly. The teacher wiped the board clean and started writing new problems, mixing the operations, so we had to pay attention. 8 times 3 minus 4 equals? She asked, turning to look at us. You could almost hear the gears turning in everyone's heads. One student called out, 24 minus 4 equals 20. The teacher smiled, but she didn't stop there. She said, in English, we say, 8 times 3 minus 4 equals 20. She stressed each math word clearly, as if she wanted us to practice the rhythm of the sentence, not just the answer. Then she added something new. The square root of 16 equals 4. A few students frowned. The phrase square root wasn't as familiar to everyone. She explained it in simple terms. If a number times itself gives you 16, that number is the square root. For times 4 is 16, so 4 is the square root of 16. She even drew a little square root symbol, telling us it's read as the square root of. To make it fun, she gave us real-life examples. If you have 9 chairs and you arrange them into equal rows, the square root tells you how many chairs are in each row if the rows are equal in length and number. Suddenly, it didn't feel like some strange math idea. It was something you could actually use. While she taught, I noticed how different students reacted. Some leaned forward, clearly enjoying the challenge. Others whispered to their neighbors, trying to catch up. And then there were the ones who didn't need to catch up at all, the ones who always seemed ready with the right answer before anyone else. In every class, they had a special kind of presence, and I had a feeling our teacher was about to talk about them next. Sure enough, after explaining another tricky problem, the teacher turned to one of the students who always had their hand in the air. "Ah, our little teacher's pet," she said with a playful smile. The whole class laughed, but it wasn't meant to be mean. She explained that teacher's pet is an expression for a student who is especially favored by the teacher, often because they always do their homework, answer questions, and behave well. Sometimes other students use it teasingly, but in this case, it was lighthearted. Then she gave us another expression, suck up. This one had a different feeling. A suck up is someone who tries too hard to please the teacher, often for personal gain, like getting better grades or special treatment. She even acted it out, pretending to compliment herself as the teacher, saying, "Oh, what a beautiful lesson. You're the best teacher ever." We all laughed, but we got the point. Next, she mentioned smarty pants. That's for someone who shows off how much they know, sometimes in a way that annoys others. And then there was know-it-all, similar to smarty pants, but with more focus on acting like you have all the answers, even when you don't. She wrote all 4 phrases on the board. Teacher's pet, suck up, smarty pants, know-it-all. These, she said, are common in everyday English, especially when talking about school or competition. She asked us to make sentences with them. Someone said, "John is a teacher's pet because he always sits in the front and answers first." Another said, "My friend is a real smarty pants when it comes to computers." As the examples went around, I realized how useful these phrases were, not just for school, but for understanding conversations in movies, books, or real life. These were the kind of expressions that make English feel alive, full of personality. And in our class, they were starting to feel very real, because we all knew exactly which classmates fit each description. The teacher decided to make things more interesting. She split us into small groups and gave each group a set of math problems to solve, but there was a twist. Each problem had to be answered out loud in full English sentences, using the correct math vocabulary. If we solved 12 plus 8, we couldn't just say 20. We had to say, 12 plus 8 equals 20. If we solved square root 81, we had to say, the square root of 81 equals 9. It sounded easy, but when you're racing against other groups and trying not to make a mistake, even simple sentences feel like tongue twisters. Some groups worked in perfect harmony, dividing the problems quickly and helping each other with tricky ones. Others argued about who should answer which problem, losing precious seconds. In my group, we started strong. I handled the multiplication and division, while another student took the addition and subtraction. But when we hit a square root problem, everyone hesitated. "What's the square root of 144?" someone asked. I said 12 right away, but then I stumbled over the sentence. The root square, no. Wait, square root of 144 equals 12. My group laughed, but we quickly moved on. In another corner of the classroom, one group had a clear leader, a student who loved to take charge. She was fast, confident, and answered most of the questions herself. The teacher smiled and joked, "Careful, you're acting like a real know-it-all." The class laughed, but we could all see that her speed was helping her team. By the end of the activity, the teacher announced the winning group. They weren't the fastest at first, but they spoke clearly and made fewer mistakes. It was proof that in this challenge, accuracy mattered as much as speed. And as we clapped for the winners, I realized that the lesson wasn't just about numbers. It was about using language correctly under pressure, something that could be just as important in real life as it was in that classroom game. After the game, the teacher decided to raise the challenge even higher. She brought out a small box and said it contained mystery math cards. Each card had a problem on one side and a short scenario on the other. To win a point, you had to solve the problem and explain the answer as if you were teaching it to someone who didn't know English well. I picked the first card. On the math side, it said 45 divided by 9. On the scenario side, it said, "Explain to your younger cousin how to share candies equally among 9 friends." I took a deep breath and said, "If we have 45 candies and we divide them by 9, each friend gets 5. In English, we say, 45 divided by 9 equals 5. The teacher nodded, and my team got a point. The next card went to another student, a tricky one, the square root of 49. His scenario was, explain to someone how to arrange chairs in a perfect square. He smiled and said, if we have 49 chairs, we can arrange them in 7 rows of 7 chairs. That's why we say the square root of 49 equals 7. His example made everyone nod in understanding. As more cards were drawn, the scenarios became funnier. One involved baking cupcakes, another dividing pizza slices, and one about calculating the time needed for a trip. Each time, we had to mix math with everyday English, using words like plus, minus, times, divided by, and square root naturally. By the end of the round, something interesting had happened. People who normally stayed quiet were speaking up. Even the shy students were willing to try because the examples felt real and familiar. We weren't just solving problems on a board. We were solving them in situations we could imagine happening outside the classroom. The teacher pointed out that this is exactly how math and language work best, together in real life. Numbers are universal, but the way we talk about them depends on the language we use. And learning to express them clearly in English was giving us a skill we could carry far beyond that classroom. The teacher then surprised us with a final twist to the lesson. She announced we would have a speed round, but this time, we wouldn't be solving the problems ourselves. We would be correcting mistakes. She would say a math sentence out loud, and we had to listen carefully to spot any errors in the math or in the English. She started with, 10 minus 6 equals 5. A few people frowned, and one student quickly shouted, minus 4, not 5. The teacher smiled and said, correct. And remember to say it in full. 10 minus 6 equals 4. Next, she said, the square root of 36 equals 7. Almost the whole class laughed, and someone corrected her. The square root of 36 equals 6. She nodded, reminding us that even small mistakes can completely change the meaning. Some errors were in the math, others in the way the English was used. She said, 5 multiply 2 equals 10, and a student corrected, we say 5 times 2 equals 10. She said, 18 divided 9 equals 2, and someone added, we need to say divided by 9. It became clear that part of mastering math in English was learning the exact wording, not just the numbers. The speed round made the whole room come alive. Students were laughing, listening closely, and jumping to answer. Even those who weren't great at math could still catch the language mistakes. It showed that you didn't have to be a smarty pants to participate. You just had to pay attention. By the end of the activity, the teacher reminded us that in real life, accuracy matters in two ways: getting the numbers right and expressing them clearly. Whether you're talking about money, measurements, or time, being precise can save you from big problems. And that's a lesson I knew I'd remember long after that school day was over. When the lesson was almost over, the teacher gave us one last challenge. She drew a huge, complicated equation on the board: 25 divided by 5 times square root 81 4 plus 12. The room went quiet. It wasn't just the numbers. It was the combination of everything we had learned that morning. She said, "Work through it step by step, and remember to explain each step in full English sentences." We started with the first part: 25 divided by 5 equals 5. Then the square root. The square root of 81 equals 9. Subtracting came next. 9 minus 4 equals 5. Then multiplication. 5 times 5 equals 25. Finally, addition. 25 plus 12 equals 37. When we finished, she smiled and said, "Perfect, not just the math, but the English too." She told us that this was how professionals explain numbers to clients, colleagues, or students, clearly, logically, and without skipping steps. As we packed our things, I realized the lesson had been about more than solving equations. It had been about thinking in English, not just translating from our first language. We had practiced being precise, confident, and clear, skills that could help in school, at work, or in any real-life situation. Walking out of the classroom, I felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. We'd started the day just doing math, but we ended it telling stories with numbers, using a language that connected us far beyond that small room. And I knew that the next time someone handed me a tricky problem, I'd have the words and the confidence to solve it.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Go over what has been learned.
Review.
Add.
Plus.
The student a teacher likes best.
Teacher's pet.
Take away. Subtract.
Minus.
To multiply.
Times.
A person who always tries to make the teacher or boss like him or her.
Suck up.
Separate to some parts.
Divided by.
A person who tries to show he is so smart.
Smarty pants.
The number obtained when a number is multiplied by itself.
Square root.
I think something is likely to happen.
I'll bet.
The person claims or pretends to know everything.
Know it all.
A math problem where each side is equal.
Equation.
A mathematical process such as adding, multiplying, subtracting, etc.
Operation.
The process of adding a number to itself a certain number of times.
Multiplication.
The process of adding two numbers together.
Addition.
The process of taking one number away from another.
Subtraction.
The process of dividing something into parts.
Division.
Let's try that faster. The number obtained when a number is multiplied by itself.
Square root.
The process of dividing something into parts.
Division.
A person who tries to show he is so smart.
Smarty pants.
A math problem where each side is equal.
Equation.
To multiply.
Times.
Take away. Subtract.
Minus.
The student a teacher likes best.
Teacher's pet.
Go over what has been learned.
Review.
Add.
Plus.
I think something is likely to happen.
I'll bet.
The process of adding a number to itself a certain number of times.
Multiplication.
The person claims or pretends to know everything.
Know-it-all.
A person who always tries to make the teacher or boss like him or her.
Suck up.
Separate to some parts.
Divided by.
The process of taking one number away from another.
Subtraction.
A mathematical process such as adding, multiplying, subtracting, etc.
Operation.
The process of adding two numbers together.
Addition.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Plus. Everyone knows that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Plus. We need 5 tickets plus an extra one for John. Plus. I have $2,000 in my bank account plus an extra $500 under my bed. Minus. The ticket costs $100 minus a 10% discount. Minus. I don't understand this. Do you know what 1 minus 1 equals? Minus. There were 5 cans of tuna here minus 2 that I ate this morning. Where are the rest? Divided by. To solve this problem, you'll need to divide the number of days in a year by the number of days worked. Divided by. I weigh 140 pounds, so if I divide that by 2.2, I will know my weight in kilograms. Divided by. I don't think we have enough food. We only have 2 pizzas and we need to divide them by 20 people. Mommy, everyone at school says I'm a teacher's pet. There was a kid that used to bring my teacher an apple every day. He was such a teacher's pet. I always hated the kid that was the teacher's pet. He would always get more attention. Suck up. We have a colleague at work who's the biggest suck up. He's always being nice to our boss. Suck up. I hate it when someone tries to suck up to you just because you work with Britney Spears. Suck up. There is a job opening next month for a managerial position. I think I'm going to have to act like a suck-up to get that job.